What's up, guys? It's Eli Knight with Knight Jiu-Jitsu. I'm here with my man Ed Stahl from Metrolina Martial Arts. Make sure you're following him. This is something that I was actually working on this recently with several of the newer students, and it makes me think from time to time I need to go back and think about, okay, what the basic like first kind of attack chains or submission or defense or whatever, what are these first basic kind of things we need to look at from different positions? When it gets to the closed guard, oftentimes we're doing so much like just holding on in the beginning early stages, trying not to get our guard past that by the time we start to open up spaces to be able to attack with sweeps or submissions or back takes or whatever, we kind of just spin our wheels. So I'm going to give you a few basic things and kind of a sequence that should be really good if you're fairly newer. Honestly, if you're not fairly newer, it's still going to be fairly effective because this is something that's timeless, but this is something you need to learn early on and get really good at early on. So these are some options from closed guard, essentially. So when we get here, what I'm going to look at is inside my closed guard. Closed guard being defined as he's deep between my legs. It doesn't necessarily have to be that my ankles are closed to be closed guard, but that's a different conversation. So from here, I would prefer him not to get this good posture up like this. I want to start with him down. So we'll start with here a lot of the time. So if we can get in this position here like this, then this helps me to shut down a lot of his early passing potential. So I'm going to keep his posture broken. I want my guard nice and high up on his back. I'm covering his head somehow. I'm covering his arm somehow. This could be inside or it could be outside. This is also a good connection here too. But if we're like this, then one of the simplest, easiest sweeps from here, and this is a good way we can gauge his posture, is if he starts to try to sit up and he starts picking me up like this here. So now if he takes us to 90 degrees, let's keep going all the way to 90 degrees here like this. So he's trying to sit up and get some posture and pull away from me. I'm gonna start to post back behind me and I'm gonna go for this hip bump sweep. So what happens is when we get to this top stage here, when he's up to almost 90 degrees, my guard opens like this. I'm gonna put my hand behind me and I'm gonna drive my hips into him, bringing my arm to the other side of his head so that I can keep this arm stuck against me. His bicep is connected to my chest. I'm gonna let this knee go down to the outside and I'm gonna push him over to the top position here like this, right? So I wanna make sure that he doesn't have the potential to post and shut down my sweep. So from there, we can do that with him sitting me up like that, or if he's just like really tall posture, I can come up and I can kind of bulldoze into him with that as well. So what that was gonna look like here is I'm just gonna come straight up and I'm gonna shoot my armpit to his shoulder. I'm opening my guard, I'm driving my hip into him, and I'm keeping this stuck up against me. I don't wanna try to sweep and have him post out on the floor over here and shut me down, so I'm gonna keep this arm hugged up against me tight. This knee is gonna block the outside so he doesn't start to rigor his leg out like that, and then I drive, push up and over, and then I should land in the mount position just like that here. Now, what's gonna happen, what's he gonna do whenever I do start to do this a lot of the time, is he's gonna typically try to shut me down, and he knows if he keeps his posture in that 90-degree angle, then he's probably gonna get swept more likely. So if I go up to try to sweep like that, he's gonna drive back into me. Now, if I keep my hips close to him and he drives back into me, then I'm gonna fall back on my back like this because my hips were underneath him still. But if instead, when he goes to tackle me, I scoot out this way and cause separation between my hips and his torso, that gives me now an opportunity with this sweeping arm, this arm that was locking over here, to drive back underneath, and I'm gonna slip inside. So now what you can see here happening is I'm going back here underneath Ed's chin. So my radius here, this bone on top, is sucking back through like that, and I'm getting my hand close to my chest up this way here. From that point here, now I'm gonna reach around my own arm. Now, a couple different ways that we can look to accomplish this. I can connect hands together here like this, and then I can start falling back on my side and bringing my guard up nice and high over his back here. So if we change the angle here, whenever we get like this, you'll see better on this side. When I go here, he tackles back into me, I scoot, and then I loop back and through here. So I get nice and deep, and then I'm gonna shoot this arm around his, because his shoulder is already against me. I'm gonna grab the outside blade of my hand here like this, and I wanna get this little snuff box bend right there underneath his chin, right around his trachea. So now, as we go to sit back, I'm leaning toward that side to choke, and I'm trying to drop onto my shoulder. My legs are gonna come up nice and high over his back here like this, and I'm actually using my legs to pull him in here so I can finish that guillotine on that side. Now, so that's kind of a 1-2 combo. I'm gonna try that hip bump sweep. He tackles back into me. I go right back on that guillotine right here. So on that hip bump sweep, it requires him going like really tall posture, that 90 degrees. It's gonna be a lot harder if he only stops at like 45 degrees to be able to do that. So then the opportunity is not exactly there. But that doesn't mean that I don't have things that I can do whenever he does it just to get to 45. If he sets us up and he stops here, again, it's a little harder for me to drive that over. It's not impossible, but it's harder. So what I'm gonna look to do from here now instead is, since he's on 45, I'm gonna slide this over just like I did before for the hip bump sweep, but this time I'm gonna hook underneath and I'm trying to pick up, I'm using again, this little snuff box area underneath his tricep tendon. So I'm putting my wristwatch there and I wanna turn his elbow so I can look to face it. His bicep is kind of close to my chest. And so then from here, as I go to fall back, my posted hand is gonna grab by his wrist. So whenever I go to sit back here like this, I'm driving off my feet, pulling his elbow toward me here this way and keeping that 90-degree bend in his arm. Now from here, as I collect this up, I'm collecting my second wrist. So I've got thumb full grip here, I've got thumbless grip on this side over here. And now I'm gonna scoot my hips toward that side where the Kimura is, right? So this is that 90-degree double wrist lock, or Kimura typically as we refer to it here. I wanna get onto my side, facing him as much as I can. I wanna close my guard back to help prevent him from trying to roll over that shoulder and trying to relieve some of that pressure. And then from here now, I'm gonna keep everything squeezed in tight and try to put his hand on the back of his head, and it shouldn't make it all the way there, right? So that's a way here now that we can attack on that side. So again, this is from 45 degrees, he sets us up, and I don't have quite the elevation that I need to get that hip bump sweep. So instead, this arm that came over to hug that arm is actually gonna go underneath. I'm gonna get underneath like this here, put my wristwatch underneath his elbow. I drive his hand back as I fall down. I connect my two wrists together and squeeze my elbows in. I want his elbow centered in toward my chest. And now look, I'm kicking my hip out by pushing in with my thigh this direction. Right? Now I'm gonna walk my legs up nice and high over his back again, keep my elbows squeezed in tight and try to put his hand on the back of his head, and it's gonna attack that shoulder right there. So typically what you'll see is if I'm attacking the elbow, then the arm's gonna be in the straight orientation, obviously. If I wanna attack the shoulder, I'm typically not gonna get a good shoulder lock with this arm straight. It's usually gonna require a bend, either branch up or branch down, and in this case, it's that branch down for the Kimura arm lock like that. So something that we can add into the mix here as well, because we have, if he sets us up tall, if he doesn't set us up, the thing that both these things have in common is that I'm kind of staying stuck to him as he goes to set us up either of these directions. If he does create separation between us, then it starts to kind of give me new problems / opportunities, right? And one that I think is underutilized a lot of the time, and because it takes a little bit of a leap of faith to do it, is that whenever he sets us up here this way, like this, and he stays in this kind of 45 degree and he's created separation between our chest, I can look to go for scissor sweeps and different things like that. I've got other videos on sweeps that you need to know, but so check those out. But if we get in this position here, one that is underutilized a lot of the time is for me posting up on my elbow and getting to here. So he may still read like I'm gonna go scissor sweep, but what I'm actually looking to do is I'm gonna put my foot over here on his hip. I'm gonna post on my left hand, right foot this way, and I'm gonna do like a technical stand-up. If you don't know what that is, go watch some of my other basic videos. And so then from here now, as I go to post and retract this leg, I'm gonna bring his head toward the floor this way. So I'm snapping him down and bringing him underneath me this direction. At that point now, I can start to attack from here, from head on, or I can start moving around to his back and start looking for back takes and different things off of that. So again, I'm gonna keep plugging my other videos, but if you do get to that point where you're head on with him in that turtle position, you've got anaconda choke, Darce choke, guillotines, front naked chokes, all kinds of things that you can do, but it happens off of getting from here. Now, typically the way that we'll result in that position is off of a sprawl or something like that, or a snap down from standing, but you can do a snap down from right here. If he starts to sit up and he gets in this separation like this, then I'm gonna post up on my elbow. So I'm opening the space, putting my elbow on the floor, posting and scooting my hip out. When I get to do that, I'm gonna put my foot here on the hip. Because even if he wants to grab at my foot to try to take my foot off of his hip, he's just doing me a favor here like this. So whenever I come up and I post to that technical stand-up, I'm also sliding here. It's not shoving his head down, it's sliding and hooking on that ridge on the back of his skull and putting his head beyond his foundation. Here, that way. And now we can start to look to get around to his back. So that's another one that is really helpful whenever he starts to sit up, but he's caused separation this time. So anyway, hopefully this gives you some good opportunities. let me know if this doesn't solve some kind of a problem that you're having in closed guard, because there's lots of solutions, and maybe it's something I can make a future video about. I'd be happy to do that, or maybe I already have a video about it. So let me know in the comment section if this was helpful. And anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Keep watching the Night Jiu-Jitsu channel. Make sure you go over to Ed's channel, Metrolina Martial Arts, and subscribe to him. Lots of good content over there, and thanks a lot, guys.